All right. Looks like I'm now live. And looks like I had some technical difficulties. Um, Apologies for anyone who was waiting. Hopefully, I can get these things straightened out for next time. Again, this is the second time that we're doing this. So, appreciate your patience and appreciate your ability to still stay with us. So, thank you. Again, this is Mark Iwanicki coming to you straight out of my studio in wonderful Farmington, Connecticut. If you are in the chat box, just drop a note in there and I will pull a tarot card for you. So let's start. First, we can start by, since there's no one really, there's one person in here, and it's Eric. Nice to see you, Eric. Again, I had some technical difficulties. I think I need to figure that out for next time. Here's a question. I've been pursuing jobs in the same industry but different role. Should I do the opposite and also consider different industry but same role? That's a good question. So we will start with that. Eric, I've been pursuing jobs in the same industry but a different role. Should I do the opposite and also consider a different industry but same role? Let's see what the cards have to say. Let's see what the cards have to say. So, what does the card have to say about Eric and different industries? Let me see here. And we'll do one more shuffle just for shits and giggles, as we like to say. All right, let's see what the card has to say. I look for a specific card when I do a single card pull. If we were to do a larger reading, it would, Page of Wands. Okay. So the card that came up is the Page of Wands. Now, the Page of Wands is a young person. And if you see him there, he's looking at that staff that he's got and he's admiring it. He's looking at it and it's something new for him. So what this is telling me is, of course, it's all your decision. The cards aren't going to tell you what you want to do, but the cards will help you think through some things. If you start something new, you're in a new industry, you are going to be kind of coming in from the ground up in terms of learning the industry. And that's represented here. He's kind of like in a desert. So the amount of knowledge that you'll have in the new industry will be low. And you'll be building things from the ground up. He's also got a feather there in his cap. So you'll be able to leverage the experiences that you have had working with people, working with technologies, working with your own mind. So of course, it's a trade-off just like anything else in life. If you want to start something new and build something from the ground up in terms of knowledge, in terms of experience, then yes, a new industry is something that would be good for you to explore. However, if you want to come into a place and be the expert and know everything, well, not everything, but be looked to as an expert and a subject matter expert, then you stick with the same industry. There's going to be a lot of newness to it. If you decide to start in a new industry, there will be a lot of hills to climb. If you see in the back there, he's got hills there. And you're going to have to compete with the other people there who know the industry a lot more than you. So I guess it depends on your confidence in yourself in learning a new industry, your confidence in yourself in terms of learning new terminology, learning new jargon, learning um, new terms, new people, new ways of seeing the world. So that's a trade-off. What is what does your intuition tell you? Do you want to maintain the feather in your cap and maintain that sense of expertise, or do you want to maintain a sense of newness, a sense of adventure, a sense of new horizons and new ways of seeing the world? So that's that. Hope that was helpful. I don't even know if you're still on. I see that there's two people, but it keeps popping off. It's either one or two people. So I hope that was helpful, Eric. Thanks, very helpful. Good. Sometimes I feel like I'm not saying anything that the person doesn't already know, but who knows? Who knows? Something tells me that you kind of already knew that and have weighed those options, but you never know. So if you got another question, feel free to pop it in there. If you have a family member or you have a friend who is interested in getting a tarot card pull, feel free. Otherwise, I'm just going to sit here, shuffle my cards, and talk about my artwork over here. And if you have any suggestions on technical or visual appeal, feel free to drop a note there too. Question was based on a role that I applied to Friday. Okay, all right. Care to what kind of a industry it was in, or what the role was? While you're typing that in, if you're typing that in, I'm going to talk about my artwork here. So this is, and the glare on there is not very good. So again, we're going to be making some improvements in terms of quality and visual appeal. So this is called Taweret. It is the hippo goddess of the Nile. Now, Taweret was a goddess of fertility, was a goddess of protection, and she was, of course, a goddess of the Nile. As you know, hippos are animals that spend a good portion of their time in the water. And these animals were very much venerated by the ancient Egyptians. And what we have here is we've got some purple here, which kind of represents the waters and the subconscious, the unconscious, the things that we don't know about ourselves. And Taweret is the creature or the vessel that reaches out from the unconscious, from the waters of the unconscious, into the light of the sun god Ra. Now, Taweret, etymologically, she has been not only called Taweret, but she's also been called Ta'urt. And etymologically, she is kind of the origin of the word tarot. So Taweret, Ta'urt, tarot, tarot. So the tarot is a way to bring the unconscious knowledge into consciousness. So unconsciousness here is the purple, is the waters. The tarot reaches out from the unconscious into the light of consciousness. So that's a little bit of that. Head of research for nonprofit economic development agency in Connecticut. Interesting. Interesting. Well, let's see what the card has to say about that. Let's see what the card has to say about that. Economic development and head of research. Well, I know you're a researcher at heart, so you know your research. So that part shouldn't be the problem. And economic development, that would be a new industry, a new role. So let's pull a card and see what it has to say. We'll just do one more shuffle. And let's look for the card. That is the Four of Pentacles. So the Pentacles, the cards that have the pentacles on them have to do with our financial well-being and our physical well-being. And the four has to do with structure. So if you think of a square has four sides, and a square is considered structure. It's like thinking inside the box. Think a box is a square. So we've got the Four of Pentacles. And the Four of Pentacles has to do with getting all your things in order, getting all your ducks lined up in a row, keeping your money on your mind, and your mind on your money, as they say in some hip hop circles, and making sure that everything's kosher, copacetic, and settled. Now this one is reversed. So in this role, you probably be dealing with a lot of course, economic turmoil because we're going through this pandemic. But bringing structure to some unstructured organizations can sometimes be difficult. So you might be building from the bottom up. I'm not sure if this role is a new role or a role that's been there for a while and they're looking for you to build it up from the bottom. That's something to consider. Sorry. You can see that. That's the card right there. They're going to be asking you to bring in a lot of structure into the organization. So it'll be, if you do get it, or if you end up getting an interview, or however the process works, be sure you have people in mind that you know that you can bring to the organization. Structures that have worked for you in the past, partners, vendors, things that will help them to build up that department or role within the organization. So you're going to be coming in as someone who knows research and knows the people required in order to get research done. So I'm not sure how large this organization is or how large the role is, but it's calling for structure. It's calling for your ability to balance books, to ideas for making money. So you're probably a very well-rounded person in terms of numbers and structure. So it's, it'll take a lot of your ability to build from the bottom, and your ability to apply structure to maybe an unorganized um, place. Um, Economic Development Agency. It's a nonprofit, yeah. So nonprofits in general. I don't know. Coming from industry and moving into the nonprofit world, it'll be a change for you. The structure in which you'll be going into will be a lot different. The way that they do business, the way that you do business, it'll be a learning experience for not only you, um, but for them as well. Not a new role. It was a not-for-profit. New direction. Yeah, new direction, but it's going to require some of your abilities to apply structure. I'm not sure what their structure is or their ability to conduct research, um, or the people that they already have in place. But this card is indicating that there may be a little bit of chaos that you might be walking into that you're going to need to fix. So, something to consider as you talk to the people, as you learn more about the organization, as you learn more about what it is they're trying to accomplish. So, hopefully, that gave you a little bit to noodle on. Probably things you've already thought about, but sometimes it helps to get a card pulled. So cool. All right. Glad you enjoyed that. I don't think we have any other people here. God, I really wish, you know what? I should take my own advice. I should apply structure to the way that I'm doing this tarot card pull, because I've sent that link not only to you, but to a whole bunch of other people. And they're probably wondering, where the hell is Mark? Well, here I am on I'm going live on the channel, but not on the link that I sent. So live and learn, live and learn. So I'll talk about unless you got another question, um, pop it in there. Otherwise, I'm just going to keep talking. So here we've got Tarara again, and the card that it's representing a bit is the High Priestess. So you see the High Priestess, she's wearing blue, kind of like she's wearing blue. And the blue represents water, which is the waters of the Nile. And then you've got these two pillars here. Whoops. You got this one and this one, which represent the banks of the Nile River. And the High Priestess, she sits between those two pillars. And those pillars have a B and a J in there. That's the Boaz and Jachin, which is the name of the pillars that were constructed on the Temple of Solomon. And it represents an initiation into the mysteries. So the High Priestess, she represents a portal. She represents a portal into the mysteries of life. And she represents intuition and emotion. So I tried to capture that with my hippo here. You love my hippo. Thanks. Thanks. I actually painted this one, started painting this during Open Studio Hartford, which is a yearly event where artists are present their work to the public. It's a citywide event in Hartford, in various different places throughout the city, and I started it in 2007. I'm sorry, 2017. So in November of 2017, I started that, and I probably finished it probably May of 2018. So it took me, what is that? 5, 7 months, half a year to paint this. I'm not a professional, so I wasn't painting it every day, but in your spare time, you pick it up, you do a little bit of work, and eventually you finish. So that's my girl, Taweret, or Ta'wort, and she's the hippo goddess of the Nile. So that's that. Any other questions? Anyone else on here? I've gotten some messages here on my phone. I wonder if anyone's been. No. No, I guess I'm not as popular as I thought I was. Let me see here. I'm going to. Viewers. No. All right. We're going to delete that. This is live and unfiltered. So everything that I do is going live, and it just speaks to the newness of this for me, which is good. You make you do a little bit, and you get some feedback. I'm getting some feedback that I need to get some streaming software. Last time I did this, I was able to just stream online using the camera on my laptop here. But apparently, in order to schedule an event and have it waiting for me, I need to find some other type of streaming software. So I guess that's what I'll do going forward. Popularity and awesomeness are two different things. Eric, thank you. You're pumping me up, and I appreciate that. I appreciate that. This will be available for other people to view in the future. So I appreciate that. So as I'm doing this, I see the lighting is kind of flickering on and off, or getting brighter and darker. Are you seeing that too, Eric? Not sure if he's still there. Anyways, so we'll talk more. Lighting is fine. Okay, cool. We'll talk a little bit more about the High Priestess. So if you notice there, she's got a scroll in her hand, and that scroll is the Torah. So Torah and tarot and truth. These are all, if you go back far enough, the phonemes and the linguistics behind them, they're all kind of related to each other. So Torah has a lot of truth to it. Tarot has a lot of truth to it. Taweret, she was, as we say, a fertility goddess. She was a goddess of protection. She represented the movement of unconscious content and unconscious knowledge into consciousness. If you look behind her, there's a kind of a tapestry which has the pomegranates. You've got this pomegranate here, 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 and it's actually laid out in the same format as the Kabbalah, which is the Jewish mystical. It's a pattern of. I guess what would you call them? They're called Sephiro. It's a pattern of circles that supposedly contains the secret to the universe. And it's called the Kabbalah, the tree of life. And I've been studying it for quite a bit, but it's one of those topics that can take a lifetime of study and you still don't know enough about it, because it's one of those things that as you learn more about it, it changes. It changes, kind of like life. So, wow, isn't that deep, Mark? Yeah, I like to think of myself as a deep person, but sometimes I'm just an artist pulling tarot cards for friends. So, um, she's also got the moon at her feet, and if you've seen the moon changes constantly, and the moon represents our emotions in astrology, and it represents the changing nature of our understanding of life as the moon moves through the different zodiac signs. It's not only moving through the 12 different zodiac signs, but it's also changing its lighting. It's constantly waxing and waning. So so yeah, it represents changes. It represents movement of the mind. It represents movement of emotions. It represents femininity and receptivity, kind of like water. So this card would be considered the moon. It's the moon. So sometimes the moon is dark even. So there's darkness to the moon, and that's the dark column here, Boaz, and then the light column here, Jacqueline. So darkness and light, changeability, mutability. These are all concepts that are embodied here within this card. So let's see here. Tower. I painted her with some really wild eyes. Wild eyes. So she's very, very aware. She's open eyes. She can see things that maybe some other people can't. Around her eyes, we've got um, the eyeshadow and kind of like a hook here, which represents the eye of Horus, the eye of knowledge, the eye of understanding. So I like this painting a lot. It's one of my favorites. I love the colors. If you want to look at it from a color theory, if you go Google online, look at a color wheel, you'll notice that yellow and purple are on opposite sides of the color wheel, so they're contrasting colors. So anytime you have colors that contrast like that, it just pops. It pops. And the blue, the blue here is kind of complementary. I'm forgetting my art terms, so if there's any artists who are eventually watching this, feel free to comment and correct my forgetting of art theory. But the blue is kind of like a complementary color to yellow and a complementary color to blue. So that's what's going on with that. Egypt. Egypt is one of my favorite topics of study. I for a long time, I was trying to understand as much as I can about the culture of Egypt, the mythology of Egypt, because it was probably one of the longest lived civilizations of our time. So when we think of Egypt, one of the famous people that we think of is Cleopatra. So Cleopatra lived probably around 2,000 years ago, right around the turn of the year zero. somewhere around there. The funny thing about Cleopatra is that her distance in time from us is about the same as her distance from the construction of the pyramids. So if we look back in time, 2,000 years, we find Cleopatra. In her time, the pyramids had already been around for 2,000 years. And in total, the whole civilization of Egypt, I think, spanned around 5,800 years, something like that. So all of the different gods and goddesses in the Egyptian pantheon changed and um, had different names and had different mythologies associated with them. So the study of the civilization of Egypt is a lifelong study. There's something that you can learn. Um, I mean, there's so many different things to look at. The different dynasties, the different pharaohs, the different scribes like Imhotep. He's the one that comes to mind. So it's a very, very rich study, and you could spend a lifetime doing it. And legend has it that the tarot came out of that civilization. There was the god of wisdom and the god of magic. His name was Thoth, and he was an ibis-headed god. He was kind of like one of those birds with a long beak and a long neck. He was named Thoth, and one of the books that he supposedly wrote was the Emerald Tablets, and they say that maybe the tarot is a remnant or a artifact of the Emerald Tablets that he wrote. How much time should I devote to my creative side? Writing books. Let's see. Let's see which card comes up. I'm going to shuffle 3 times. There's 1. There's 2. And here's 3. How much time should Eric devote to his creative side? Writing. Let's see. The card that came up is the 6 of Cups, and it's reversed. So I'll turn it over this way so that you can see it. Now, the 6 of Cups is generally considered a card of harmony, emotional harmony. And if you see the card there, it's you've got 2 younger people, 1 child, and 1 person who is I don't know about a child, but definitely younger. And they're offering that cup to the younger child. So what I'm getting from that is whatever time that allows you to continue to have harmony in your life, making sure that you're spending enough time with your children or your son, spending enough time with your wife, spending enough time with the other aspects of your life. For the card here, it looks like for the time being, it's kind of on the back burner there. So it's behind this guy here. But it's been on the back burner for a long time, I imagine. So Time is a strange thing. How much time do you have? If you got a lot of time that you're spending on things that are not worthwhile, then why would you waste time on things that aren't worth anything to you? Um, I know you've got a lot of ideas, um, so putting them out there and writing whatever you have while you have the time makes sense. We have more time than we think. It's a matter of priority. Yeah. Well, we've got two sides of the brain. We've got the left hand side and the right hand side. The left hand side generally has to do with order and structure and numbers and linear thoughts. The right hand side has to do with creativity and um, connection to something greater, connection to the universe. They say. Um, so 6, 6. So the number 6, like sixth day of the week, whatever you consider to be the sixth day of the week, maybe spend some time doing that. If you make it a priority by carving out specific time for it. It doesn't have to be every day you're doing something, but maybe on the sixth day, um, you put some time into it. Yeah. So let me pull another card on that and see what it says. I'm going to pull one more card on it. Um, I imagine because it's been on the back burner for a while that it's kind of like a flood of creativity and a flood of ideas. So um, that would probably bring a little bit of balance to your life. So let me pull one more card and see what it says. So these cards, they're designed to facilitate a conversation. There's always something in the picture that you can refer to and ask questions about. So a lot of people think tarot is about predicting the future, and there is an aspect to it, but it's more about facilitating a conversation and being able to ask questions. So the other card that came up was the Seven of Pentacles. So you got a guy there, he's kind of tilling the field and he's been working for a little bit. And now he's kind of looking over his work. He's looking over the things that he's done and he's looking over the things that he has to do. And in general, this is a card of kind of reflection and deciding what the priority is, as you said. Um, so what's gonna bring you money? What's gonna bring you? That's always something to consider. Um, it's kind of a choice point. Where, where what garden do you want to tend? Um, for myself, I of course I work full time, but in the times that I do have, I like to tend other things. I read quite a bit. I'm doing my artwork, and now I committed to doing um, an hour a week of just random tarot card pulls for people. So why? Because it's fun. I like it. I enjoy doing this. I enjoy talking about them, and it just connects me to my own intuition. And oftentimes, the cards um, have meaning for not only for the people that I'm reading for, but also for the people. for myself. So, um, yeah, so this is 7 of Pentacles. Like, what do you want to invest in going forward? Is this writing books? Is this something that you want to continue on through to the end of your life? Then put some effort into it, and it could sustain you in your retirement or after your work in the corporate world, and maybe in this uh, economic development position. It could sustain you through that. So there's so many examples of people who have had second careers that are wildly and vastly different from what they had started on. Um, so, what garden do you want to till? Will the story of Eric be uh, not only a researcher, but also author, and um, putting the time into it? So I know you probably have a vision for yourself. It's just a matter of walking into that vision. Um, I've got, what is this? Someone else was in here for a second. So, Eric, there was someone in here called A Woman, and they wrote, "You tasty AF." So apparently someone's trying to flirt with me, which is kind of funny. But anyways, they're gone now. So it's coming up on 7:30, and I know I was supposed to start at 6:30, so I'm wondering if I should just go for another 5 minutes or so. I think that would be a good compromise. And then I need to figure out how to make sure that next time when I'm going live, I'm not lying, because that was annoying, not only for myself, but I'm sure for any people who still might be waiting for me. Um, so I'm just going to pull one more card for you, Eric. And the question will be, what does Eric need to know going forward? So, whoops. Yeah. What does Eric need to know going forward? One card. I talked about this last week. Like, anytime I'm shuffling, there's always dead air. So I got to learn to talk more and fill, and fill the time with something else besides just the shuffling of cards. All right. So, what does Eric need to know going forward? Let's see. It's the Six of Swords. The Six of Swords. And what you have there is a guy. He's kind of like the ferryman, and he's bringing people over a river. And the looks like a woman and a child. So what that tells me is ferrying people through emotional times, and helping them um, to navigate some difficult emotional times, and bringing harmony to their lives. It's also a card of community. So this economic, I'm thinking about this economic development position might require you to help bring people through difficult economic times, um, and helping them to have clear thoughts about things in turbulent weather, which is what we're all going through right now. some of us are lucky in that we were able to work from home, but there's many others out there who are struggling and they don't know which thoughts to focus on. So you might be required to kind of ferry people um, across emotions, and you've probably got your emotions pretty much in check, and you're pretty in tune with them. So helping others with their thoughts about emotional times might be in the future for you. So that's that. So I might be calling it a night. I appreciate you coming out, Eric. I appreciate it. And next time I'll do better. So if you enjoyed this, then spread the word. Tell anyone that you know. It's kind of a fun thing to do on a Monday night. If you know of anyone who's interested in tarot or interested in art, let them know that I do this every Monday night. So thanks a lot. Talk to you soon, and be well. Take care. You're welcome. Bye. Peace.